Hello all, welcome to the Legend of Gaming podcast. I'm Matt.
And you got Cliff.
And today we will be talking about co-op games. But before we get into co-op games, let's jump into our Cliff Notes.
We have some good Cliff Notes. We're going to go over just a few things. One was, you asked me what was my top 3 characters? It's definitely Nolan. He's sitting at the top. Alien versus Predator, you can play both of them. So that they're sitting right up there with him. Very nice. In our last podcast, we went over fighting games, and we started off with some really fun ones, not too intense. Starting out with some Smash and stuff, and then we went from a little bit more intense, some fighting for New York, and then we ended off with a few more different serious ones, and then a few different options for everybody.
We definitely left gaps too. There's so many fighting games over the years. I think really you fell into one of two camps.
Yeah.
And that's where, yes, we did not talk about Street Fighter a lot.
Right.
We didn't talk about Marvel vs. Capcom a ton. We didn't talk about a lot of these more technical fighting games because I didn't play them. Yeah. But that's why we put the pod out there. That's why we want you to reach out, because if there is a particular Street Fighter that is the best, right? It's Street Fighter 2. Or maybe the newest Street Fighter. I'm willing to play it. I'm willing to try. And I think that's where, in this whole fighting podcast, we really did touch all the flavors. But I want to know, where did you fall? What camp were you in? I think even you and I played different games. When you talk about Def Jam,
yeah.
I'm like, damn.
You're
Bone Crusher
what is
terrifying. So I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes down to it, there's always going to be something new. And I hope you guys get a chance, share it with us. We'll find something that we like about it, and we'll come back to you about it. But besides that, that's our Cliff Notes.
Hey, I love that. So today, co-op games.
Yes.
Where do you think they started, Cliff? What was the first co-op game?
Oh, man. That's such a elusive question. I would think that, Pong, maybe?
Yes.
Yeah, let's start with Pong.
Doubles. Enthralling.
That's gotta be it.
Obviously, 1973, Pong doubles, being able to play with two people, that was technically the first co-op game. Now, if we're talking about really getting excited to sit down and play with a friend, play with a family member, I'd say probably mid 80s, Super Mario Bros. Super Mario Bros. 3 was that first experience for a few people. Super Mario Bros. Was co-op, but you just played as essentially another Mario, a different colored plumber. Super Mario Bros. 3 in 88 let you play as Luigi, my fave. Shout out to Luigi, my boo. So, I think that might have been where the more traditional idea of co-op, comes from.
Right.
I think today we should start with traditional co-ops, games that you have to play with another person.
Okay.
So I'll give you the option. We can start with any of these games from the same maker. We can start with A Way Out, It Takes Two, or Split Fiction. Dealer's choice, Cliff.
Dealer's choice. I'm shuffling my hands and something's telling me Split Fiction. Let's start there.
All right. So Split Fiction, the newest take on a co-op game by that studio. Actually, I don't know the name of the studio. Maybe that might have to be a Cliff Note if we don't know off the top of our head.
Yeah, absolutely.
Split Fiction is a really sci-fi, fantastical co-op.
Yes.
With variety gameplay. I feel like that's the best way to start a description if you've never seen the game.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, it's got temple run aspects. It's got shooter aspects where you might be on a motorcycle and you're driving and the gravity and the orientation of the map is changing, but then you fight a boss at the end where both of you are shooting. If you've ever played Little Nightmares or any of these side-scrolling type of games, there's moments where you're side-scrolling and you're going through essentially obstacles, but you kind of have to use logic to execute, and not only singular logic, you have to use logic with another person. Very Portal-esque, right? The old Portal games.
That's spot on.
You kind of have to be in communication, and if you're not, maybe have a little bit of patience because it's going to take you a minute to get past some of the obstacles.
Yeah.
I really think they've taken co-op games to the next level of understanding what makes playing with someone else satisfying. I think in the beginning it was like, hey, you can just play with your friend.
Yeah.
Pretty cool, right? Now it's really, how do my actions and consequences affect this other person so that they can manage the obstacles?
Right. I've definitely seen like moments where, and this is probably like the most famous piece of this game, is there's a moment where someone has to be on a motorcycle driving for their life and you're sitting on the back seat. And there's a moment where there's a bomb that's about to go off on your vehicle. But for some reason, you have the ability to like turn off the self-destruct, but you have to do it from your phone, right? So one of the characters hands you the phone, turn off the self-destruct, I'm driving, right? So as you're looking from your view, you're looking down at the phone and you kind of see the floor and you see how fast you're moving. On the other screen, that person is driving like a maniac, as missiles are landing, they're doing crazy jumps, they're trying to make this getaway, but you're also trying to defuse a bomb. So you can see how it has that 2 level of real intensity. And the funny part is, this is where I love how you mentioned the creators really have like given like this a whole new level to what like co-op really should be for something very satisfying. As you're on the phone, the first thing you have to do is like almost like a face identification. So you kind of have to hold it up, but you have to use your analog stick to angle it right because you're on the back of a motorcycle. So all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is stressful. Like I'm trying to like make this work. You get in. Okay, next thing you have to do is it says like terms and conditions, because you're trying to deactivate this bomb and you're clicking through. You're like, why am I doing terms and conditions? You're clicking through. All of a sudden it says, oh, you didn't check that small little box in the terms and conditions. You didn't read it. So all of a sudden you're going back. It gives you such a stressful moment. And I think that moment there, there's so many different things that happen, but I think that was just a clear picture of what the creators wanted to do with this. They wanted to make a game that 2 people can enjoy, have that like fun stress to it, where it's like, man, like I need to defuse this bomb. I don't want us like exploding and stuff like that. But also making it like a little quirky and stuff like that. It's when you think of like using certain like devices, there's definitely moments where you're like, man, it auto typed this, or oh man, like I'm having all these like technical difficulties. That's what you're having. As you go through, you're getting like, oh, you have to type in this authorization code. And as you type it in, all of a sudden it just like capitalizes something and it lowercase. You're like, it's stressing me out. So I think that's a really good game to definitely dive into. It's definitely a polished version from their previous ones. And I think that's why it's definitely good.
I think I really like the perspective and layer, like level change, right? Like you're on the motorcycle, you're watching this kind of from a third person over your shoulder view. And then when you look down at the phone, right, it gives you this different perspective. It's first person, but also like that looking down, giving you speed, the recognition of speed because you're seeing it from a different angle. Having to hold the phone up, I really like that it brings layers of real life into it.
Right.
Because a lot of times I think where you get separated from a game is like there's no actual risk to this. If I die or if I lose, I just restart. I think what's really cool about this is that other person's also tied to you, so they don't want to fail, and it adds a layer of intensity. You're like, okay, I have to get the phone open. Then the real life type of phone messing up happens, right? Where anytime we're trying to use technology in the moment, what happens? That pop-up comes up. Right. That phone needs a password that you just for some reason can't type in the moment. It asks you if you're a robot and asks you to click all the street lights, and you're like, I've clicked all the street lights 6 times. So I like that. Not only is this a game, but it's giving you real life kind of shenanigans.
Yeah, like really first world problems like people deal with.
What happened when we started the podcast? Cliff and I sit here and we talk for an hour and a half to get ready, and we're goofing around, whatever. I swear, not one notification went off on one of our devices.
Silence.
The moment we started, 3 devices had 3 different sounds I've never even heard happen. So I think that when you look at these games, right, it's just like it's a fun take on something that happens in real life, added on top of, here's an objective, don't get shot by this helicopter that's trying to blast you. But also, hey, can you get through the terms and agreements on the cell phone? You know what I mean? While you unlock with your face and authenticate. And it's funny because It's actually fun. The
Yeah.
person driving's having a lot of fun doing this mission. You're dealing with this BS, which is actually hilarious.
It's very hilarious.
And the trophy is you are not a robot, which is really coincidental. Because what are we talking about? It's like the gotcha. Caption.
Yeah.
Are you a robot?
Are you a robot?
I
You're
love
not a robot.
So Split Fiction, really, really good take on a co-op game.
Yeah.
Have you played A Way Out or It Takes Two?
I've seen small pieces of It's a Way Out. I've seen like a certain jump scene. And when it comes to Take Two, I've definitely seen a lot on it, but I still haven't played it.
So, It Takes Two, super colorful.
Yeah.
Very Sackboy-esque. You're like little claymation people with buttons and weird shapes. And you're running around as a little undersized character in an oversized world.
I like it.
I think what makes the game super attractive a lot of times when you play co-op games, you want one to play with a partner. If it's a brother or a friend or your sister, like a family member, I think that's where A Way Out is more attractive. It's a prison escape story. So it's a little bit more gritty and grounded. And, you're down to earth. You're the grain. You're the salt of the earth. I don't know. You get me. It's like Prison Break. You're trying to get out. I think when you look at It Takes Two, it's more of like playing with your partner.
Okay.
Playing with someone who you have a very jovial relationship with, because the story itself is about a failed relationship.
Yeah.
And two people not seeing eye to eye, and they have to make it through this magical world to not only get back at their bodies, but to get back to where they were in life. So it's kind of poetic.
Yeah, it actually really is.
I just think it's interesting that this company has such different takes on each co-op game.
Yeah.
A Way Out is literally you're in prison and you're like a greaser with another guy who you don't want to talk to, but you're stuck in prison without each other.
And this is the person that is, if I need to get out, this is probably the person
This
I need to take.
This is my one-way ticket.
Yeah, this is my one-way ticket.
I think what's interesting about the game is it's not all just a prison break. Once you're out of the prison, there is running from the law and trying to get to safety itself. So that game has its own rewards.
I even saw we were going over it a little bit. I saw a scene where he went to go see like his daughter as well. So you can tell that there's still some like emotional attachment of what just happens afterwards. They always assume like, okay, they're going to go to family, and he does. So.
Well, and you look at a lot of these games, sometimes they're just one-dimensional. Hey, we're trying to get out of prison. There's two of us. We have to do these obstacles. We get out. Boom.
Done.
No, this is like adding on once they're out of prison. Why do they want to get out of prison? Or who are these individuals? And it adds character rather than I'm playing a prisoner.
Right.
So it's super cool. Different dynamic. Whereas the other games, you start and you're like, hey, we're lovers that have failed. And you get turned into little claymation characters.
Yeah.
Or Split Fiction, where I don't think it's necessarily that negative. It's just you're on a malfunctioning vessel, right? And you eject yourself and there's two of you, and that's how that game starts. So I think that all three games have a unique catch, a unique gimmick, but really the whole thing is what type of co-op game do you want to play and who is the partner you're playing with?
Yeah.
You're looking for something gritty with that gritty friend. You're always out and you're adventuring and you're getting dirt. Okay, let's play A Way Out.
Yeah.
Right? Like, let's play that prison break game. My wife, who talks like this and is the most gentle person, guess what? We're probably going to play It Takes Two.
Yeah.
Because that's something that, even though we have a great relationship, I can relate to.
Yeah.
Oh, well, let's see these people save their relationship. Let's see what they used to love about each other. Let's see what the story unfolds.
Exactly.
Rather than necessarily playing out the story, which I love that you bring up as kids in A Way Out. That's one of those catches where you're like, okay, I really just want to escape because these puzzles are cool and escape in prison's cool. Maybe you watched the Escape from Alcatraz movie. You kind of want to live that out. But once you get out and you start to get a little taste, you're like, well, what other family does he have?
Yeah.
Who else can we get to, right? And I think that's where this game maker really knows how to make a good 20 to 30 hour co-op game that has a satisfying twist, has a good gimmick, but really it's just good mechanics for whoever you want to play a co-op game with.
Absolutely. And it really ties into just, they do a great job on storytelling, just all together. So, really good.
Do you have anything that really stuck out from It Takes Two?
I would say the boss fights. I saw that there was like certain moments where you had to rely on the other person to either reload something or get to a certain spot before you could attack. And I think that just levers again towards we need to be working in tandem, and it needs to be like a well-oiled machine when we're going up against like the higher things. So I think that was one of the things. There was also like a certain ramp where you had to potentially give guidance on when something's falling down the ramp to the other person because they can't see it. And I think that was like a really good way of showing like a trust in one another, because you're blindly doing it. You're going solely off of instructions, and they're guiding you to safety. So it's really cool.
They know what they're doing. You either pull it off, you're like, dang, that was cool, or you realize really quickly you're not good at communicating.
Yeah,
like, we're going to get stuck here.
That is for sure. That is for sure.
I will say, if I was to give, I think the biggest positive that I didn't expect for It Takes Two is the humor.
The humor behind it?
Yeah, like A Way Out, really gritty. Split Fiction has little moments of character.
Yeah.
I think really what takes me away in that game is like the visuals.
Mm-hmm.
It Takes Two has so much humor sprinkled in that I really appreciate, because as the one in the relationship that I feel I'm the goofier one, I'm the one that might lead us to failure more often. I really appreciate the guy character.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of doofus, and he kind of falls into pitfalls, and he kind of messes things up, but it's what makes him lovable.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I really like that. It's relatable. I'm like, I'm kind of a lovable idiot. You know, I've just said A Way Out 19 times in the first 10 minutes of this podcast, right? So I think that, like, when you look at relatability too, A Way Out, I'm not really relatable to the prisoners. Right. It Takes Two, I can relate to that. I've got a wife.
Yeah.
And I'm a goofball. I may not be claymation, but I can relate to that. And then Split Fiction, I think the visuals are just so insane.
Yeah.
I love sci-fi and I love anime that regardless of the outcome, even though the game's really well written, I think I would still play it because it's just mind-blowing to watch.
Yeah. I think if you like landscapes a lot, and I do, it immediately gives you appeal to it, because they even go into very like nature-esque like areas. And they even have like one last mention on it. There's a moment where you're fighting, I believe, a dragon. And every time the dragon goes over to the left side where the sci-fi is going, it becomes like this pelican helicopter that's like dangerous. And then when it flies over to the right, it becomes like a dragon again. So there's like just really cool ways of showing stuff off. So I think if you really enjoy visuals, not saying that the others two don't have it, but I think they really capitalized on it on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's very Tron, very cyberpunk.
Tron is perfect.
Futuristic. Well, and to your point, it depends on what mission it is.
Yeah.
Because when they're on the motorcycles, it was very Tron, but then there's certain pixelated art moments where I'm like, I can't help but think of cyberpunk.
Yeah.
So, 10 out of 10. That game maker really knows how to make co-op games.
Yeah.
I would suggest all three, to be honest. I would just say start where you are most intrigued.
Each one's just a little bit of a different taste.
Luigi's Mansion 3.
Talk to me about it.
You ever played it?
I've only seen pieces of it.
Whew. Okay, biased. Bias warning.
Fully biased.
I think it might be one of the best co-op games I've ever played in my entire life.
Really?
Luigi's Mansion 3 was a sleeper. I bought it. My nephew was coming over. Just wanted to play a game with him. We sat up and made it through 12 of the 15 floors in the first night.
Nice.
I think there's levels that make co-op games great. We just talked about, narrative for these other games, and then obviously one had visuals, one had elements of love, one just had elements of being gritty and grounded and cool. I think Luigi has all of it.
Okay.
So you play as Luigi, and you're going to basically get ghosts out of this hotel. When you get there, there is Gooigi. There is a part of you, it's goo, that you can use to access other parts of the map.
Okay.
So if you play by yourself, you have to swap between the two. This is why I really consider it a traditional co-op. The game experience is better if you play with someone.
Gotcha.
It overall just feels better. It doesn't feel clunky. It doesn't feel like you're getting stuck. And the obstacles or objectives that each person get, Luigi opposed to Gooigi, they're so different. So say you come over and you and I play Luigi the whole time, and then
Yeah.
Next week my wife's like, you know what, I really want to play Luigi's Mansion, and I swap and I play Gooigi the whole time. I'm going to get a different experience, minus boss fights, minus conclusions, than playing Luigi. So gameplay, game feel, 10 out of 10. Humor? God, are you kidding me? Luigi's hilarious, bro.
He is.
He's such a doofus. The ghosts are doofuses. The whole thing is like not scary. It is just like,
just feels a little silly.
How are we even here? You know what I mean? How are Mario and Luigi even related? Luigi's stuck in this hotel trying to capture ghosts. Mario's literally saving the world, flying through the galaxy. It's just, they're so far apart.
Yeah.
But when I mean the humor and discovery in Luigi's Mansion is top tier, it's top tier. It's just so unique.
One thing I want to touch on that I really like that you said, how if you were switching roles, it's a whole different game. That's very unique, because for you to give that to someone, that means there is 2 games within that game if you were to play it by yourself. But the ability to jump in, switch, have it as a different experience, I like that. That's very nice.
They definitely knew what they were doing. Level design. I definitely think, if I'm taking off the bias cap for a moment, I think the first 10 floors are better than the last 5 floors.
Okay.
But again, it just comes back to preference. I think that they did a really good job about making each floor feel different than the last.
That's good. So it doesn't feel repetitive
while you're playing. It doesn't feel repetitive, and it doesn't feel simple. Some of the little puzzles that are not necessarily to beat the game.
Yeah.
They're not hard, but they're easily overlooked. And I can appreciate that.
That's nice.
Being the trophy hunters we are.
Yeah.
Seeking
every nook and cranny.
I definitely think, Luigi's Mansion, for what it is, 10 out of 10. I've not played Luigi's Mansion 2. I don't believe it's co-op. I think it's a single player game.
Okay.
So, I'll come back to that. I know that Luigi's Mansion 2 HD exists, so I might have to, bust out the Switch, charge it up, and give it a try.
Yeah.
But I would absolutely suggest, if you have a game weekend, you have maybe a spooky night where you watch horror movies and you want to play something that's a air quote horror game but not very scary, I think Luigi's Mansion fits that sweet spot for a lot of kids that may not be able to deal with scary things. So I just think it checks a lot of boxes. It checks a lot of boxes. As the cool Tio that's hanging out with my family, I don't want to play a Bluey game,
right,
or watch Roblox on the iPad on YouTube, because that's what we could lean towards, right?
Yeah.
So I think that this is one of those engaging games that's simple enough that if they're 5 or 6, they can handle it and it's not too scary.
Yeah.
But if they're like around 10 or older, I'm gonna be honest, content of the game very digestible and fun.
That's good.
I'm in my 30s and I love it. So I can't really say that a kid's not gonna love it.
That's good. Having it where there's a range of it, where it doesn't really matter where your age is at, you can enjoy it. That's good.
Well, and I think when I look at these games, a lot of times you think, oh, this is the games that kids would play.
Yeah.
But then I think of games like Chained Together, that these streamers are streaming, right?
Right.
And there's no grace. The game is literally, you're gonna climb this platformer, and if you fall once,
that's it.
Well, the entertainment's watched you be miserable, and then let's watch you reclimb.
Yeah.
I think Nintendo has really found a sweet spot with a lot of its game, whether it's Luigi's Mansion or maybe Mario Party. I know Mario Party is a controversial, I don't know if that's a co-op game. That's literally a party co-op game.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And when it comes to Mario Party, I think the essence of it, you can always play by yourself. You can play against computers, but the fun is when you have a group. It really is. I think the moment you steal a star, you get the side eye and you know that you did something wrong. I think the moment you win a mini game and then you have just enough coins to get that next star, you have people sweating. I think that's where great conversations happen. And just looking at Mario Party as a whole, there's so many different mini games that you can play, that some are just like very interactive with your controller. Some are very simple where it's just like a guessing game and you're almost like on a game show, which is really cool. There's a lot of different Mario parties too. So I think the last one I've played is All-Star. And I think the one that I like about All-Star the most is that they actually went through and looked at all the previous Mario Party games and they pulled out like all the fan favorites and they put it all into this one. So you really have like a big set of all these different games that you used to play that had like, you know, the graphics of that time. And then all of a sudden it gets this nice refresh. It looks really good, very inviting, and then you get to play them again. So I think that's something that I really enjoy.
Yeah, I definitely want to play some of them in high def graphics. Like they're running around on top of the ball on the platform, trying not to fall in the water. Great.
Oh yeah, that one's
Jumping
good.
on top of the colored flowers while the flowers go down in the water. Great. The game I despise.
Which one?
The jackhammer having to trace out images, and they give you a percentage of how accurate you are. I swear.
You didn't like that one?
Dude, it's like all of a sudden the moment that game starts, I forgot what shapes are. I don't know where my hands are in my body. I forget what hand-eye coordination is. It's kind of crazy. Like, I think every time I play that, I'm under 70%. And I think, like, you know, there's one computer that's generally trash.
Yeah.
Always still just dunks on me. So I'm like, I'm bad. I am bad. Mario Party is phenomenal, though. I think
it is.
Mario Party is the video game equivalent of Uno.
Yeah. No, it definitely is.
Chaotic. Fun. It has the same recipe every single time, but you're always going to get different results because it kind of gets shuffled up a little bit different.
Yeah.
It can end friendships.
It can.
You know, I think I've never seen someone crash out in my early years as much as people when they have played a whole game of Mario Party.
Yeah.
They have the most stars. Hits that last 10 minutes. Someone steals 1 star. Then that person gets like MVP or something hidden and gets another star.
Yeah, that bonus
and then,
star.
Like, you know, then like someone else just yanks a star from them just to teach them a lesson. It's kind of crazy. You can really see the rise and fall of kings and queens in Mario.
Oh, for sure. And I think they set it up that way so well because you have it where as that's going along, there's such a question mark of who's really in first. It doesn't feel, sometimes it feels like me, I'm in first.
I don't
but
want to
now
be
I'm
in
a
first.
target.
I
now
don't want to
target.
ever be in first.
I am the target. And I think one other thing that I didn't mention is I also like that they do the 1 versus 3s when it comes to some of their mini games, to have it where it's like, okay, it's me against everyone else, but I have the upper hand. That makes it a little fun. And if you lose it, it's like everyone's getting that win. So all of a sudden you're on the far end of this situation. Everyone else just got a good boost against you. And they do a really good job on the maps too. I think one of the funny ones that I definitely got a good laugh at is that there was like the King Bomb. Do you know what his name is? He's like sitting right in the middle of the map, and potentially every time you hit like a certain exclamation mark, his timer goes down. And if you're within that circle when his timer goes off, he'll just explode and you lose all your coins. So it definitely made it like a really fun like piece to have.
His name? King Bomb
King Bomb.
Yeah, they didn't, they didn't really go far out of the box. They're like, make his name Bomb twice, but take out one of the B's.
I like it. Let it run.
I think that you're just highlighting why the game's so good, right? There's layers to the map.
Mm-hmm.
The layer is like the other people can steal your stars, coins, they can sabotage you, set a trap. Some of the maps have the ability to change directions,
yes,
or change spots with people. So again, I think it's a really smart way to take 10, 20 ingredients. You know, you have a handful of characters, you have a handful of maps, you have a handful of mini games, but really it's the mixing it up, adding 3v1, adding these different variants to it that make it fun and keep it fresh.
Absolutely.
I don't know which Mario Party I played the most. I can tell you I try to always play Luigi, but again, that's just favoritism.
Mine was it had to probably be Yoshi. I was playing Yoshi a lot.
I always want to play Yoshi, but somebody always picked him. I didn't want to
I was that one. I was snatching Yoshi immediately. So much fun. But I would say one other one that I want to mention, and we've talked about this on the podcast before, is actually Star Wars, the Lego games. Now, when you mention like co-op
hold on. Before you go to, I want to talk about Star Wars, but there's one other mini game I had to just ask you if you've played.
Yeah. What is it?
It's not even Mario Party. Did you ever play Pokemon Stadium mini games?
No, I haven't.
That's all I'll leave it for. I'll leave for your cliff note. Mario Party is totally one of the original co-op.
Yeah.
Like party games. But I didn't always own Mario Party, and I had Pokemon Stadium, so when people would come over, we'd play Pokemon Stadium mini games. Just wanted to leave that note there for you before we get into Lego, because I love it, but also I don't want to do you a disservice or anyone else a disservice, because I know there's someone out there who's like, I know some mini games that are amazing, like the Diglett coin toss where you throw a ring around Diglets.
Oh,
yes.
what?
Telling you, we'll cliff note it. Pokemon Stadium mini games, honorable mention. Fire.
I'll definitely check it out.
Now, Dimelo, tell me about Star Wars Lego.
So potentially the biggest part that I want to say about this co-op is that you do play through the whole game, having access to the certain amount of characters that's in the story, right? So you're playing along with the whole story of Star Wars. So if it's moments where you're just C-3PO and R2-D2 roaming around to the point where you're Anakin and Obi-Wan and you're fighting Count Dooku. So when it looks to moments like that, it really is co-op moments where you're enjoying it with another person. And you're taking all of these fun moments, all these iconic moments in this movie, and you're reliving it with that person. I think that's the fun to it, especially in the fact of when you're traveling to point A to point B. Let's say there's a puzzle or a task that you have to do, and sometimes it'll require, let's say someone that has R2-D2 will need to go over to a console, unlock the console, and then I'll have access to move over to this area. Or there'll be a moment where, let's say we find like a hidden room. There's always like fun like miniature stuff they hide in. Let's say the Death Star, there was a room where you had to get a special character, and you unlocked it. You went into the room and there's just a bunch of stormtroopers dancing and just having fun. So I think that's a really nice, easy game to kind of get into. It's a storyline that if you've already seen Star Wars, you know what's going to happen, but you get a bit of fun as you go through it, and you're getting the story retold in just a very lighter but funner way.
I love that. Yeah. I think Lego games have their special place in my heart.
Yeah.
But I think exactly what you're bringing up is like why they stand the test of time.
Yeah.
You can play it, you can play through it, you can have this great single player or co-op experience, but really the real fun is once you're done, you beat the game, you start to get these unlocked characters, and you're like, what secrets are hidden throughout the game that I can go back and find? And I think those are the little nuggets that taste a little bit better. You know, following the story, everyone's going to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be I do things differently, but you know, anyone who plays this game, the point of playing the game is to get from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
A lot of people are going to beat it and put it down, and they're not going to invest that time to find these secrets, and it kind of makes you feel like you're in the in group, right? You're like, yeah, I did it. Oh, I saw the stormtroopers dancing. Isn't that cool? And I'm like, that's what makes it fun. I love that.
Yeah. Very nice touches.
I think Lego games really have, they have their own flavor that I really enjoy. I will tell you, I think that fun aspect that they have is encapsulated in Overcooked, Moving Out, in those like more indie little couch co-op games. Have you ever played Overcooked? I played Overcooked too, and what I will say is there is a lot of fun to it. There's a lot of intensity to it too. So what do you mean, Clifford? What do you mean about intensity? I would never know what you mean by that. Get to the lettuce. That's what I'm saying. I mean, get to chopping. There's definitely a lot of fun to it, and I think the intensity is just multiplies the fun because you have it where you're trying to get these 3 stars. What do you think? What do you think of Overcooked 2? Overcooked, I think it is a very unique game because it finds a very rare middle ground
Okay.
between non-gamers and crazy competitive gamers. There's so few times you meet in the arena of gaming where you're both having fun. What I mean by that, I couldn't take a casual gamer who's like, you know what, I don't play video games. And I'm like, you know what? Oh, let's go play Warzone. And they're like, man, I see why people love video games. No, I think they'd play it and be like, this is the worst thing I've ever done in my life.
They'd be like, this is overbearing. This is too much.
I've never played a game. There's so many controls. There's so many layers to what makes you good or can make you successful.
Aspects, attributes.
Overcooked. The objective is simple. You want to cook X amount of meals, 12 meals, in 2 minutes. That's it. What makes it difficult is the kitchen can light on fire. You're not getting the ingredients you're expecting in the order you're expecting, so you need to maybe prep other ingredients while you have time.
Yeah.
So when you get the other ingredients, you can get it assembled and get it out in the moment. Maybe I'm cooking hamburgers and the hamburger station's really far away from where I'm serving them, and dirty dishes are what's preventing me from putting out more dishes. Like, it's such a simple concept.
Yeah.
But my God, the stress level is 10 out of 10. And I think as a competitive gamer, I enjoy that.
Yeah.
My wife literally did not like to play Fortnite because it stressed her out too much. But once she saw me playing Overcooked, she's like, well, why do you play if it stresses you out? It's like, it's good stress.
Yeah.
I want to get this done. I want to get it done. And there's a satisfaction to beating it. I think that any person can understand that. I'm challenged with this obstacle A, and once I beat it, I feel so satisfied. I think Overcooked has simplified that so easy.
Yeah.
That chopping a little lettuce, adding some tomatoes, and maybe a burger, and failing a couple times because you're not reading the orders, and you're like, oh damn, I'm wasting my time. It's really like satisfying to be like, okay, let me get this. I'm getting the order down better.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's also satisfying to like lift people up. If I'm a really good gamer and my wife's not into it, maybe I'm the sous chef and I'm just I'm going ham on all the ingredients, right? But really I'm allowing her to be able to win in that moment. She's putting them together and she's like, yes, you know. I think what our objective with all video games just depends on the person.
Yeah.
I think co-op games, if you're not selfish, is for you both to have a good time. I think very seldom will you have someone who's just as competitive as you or just the same games as you. I think these games truly have such a simple aspect that there's no barrier that you're like, I can't fathom how to hit these. You literally hit like 3 buttons. I think you hit X and circle. I really think that's it. X to pick up stuff. No. X to pick up stuff, square to chop it, and then circle to like throw it.
That's it.
That's it. But I spent 10 hours, 15 hours platinuming that game because it takes skill.
Yeah.
But if you just wanted to sit down and play and de-stress, absolutely wouldn't take you any time. And I think the characters are adorable. So I don't want to rant too long. I realize I've talked about this for like 5 minutes,
think that's a good...
I love Overcooked. 10 out of 10. I think that it's for all ages.
Yeah. And you might notice, for everyone listening, that there is a reoccurring theme to it. There's a game that has the ability to appeal to a certain range, and it's inviting. It's inviting in the way that you can play it. And it has it where you're either competing against the people that you love, or you're going towards a common goal. And that really is what makes a good co-op. So,
Totally
love
agree.
that.
Have you ever played Moving Out?
Moving Out, no, but you told me something really nice about Moving Out, and I just want to mention it before you do. Now, Moving Out, from what I've seen and what I've heard, is potentially just a crazy overview game of you like trying to move all the items out of like the household that you're currently at or living. And as you're doing this, Matt had told me that there was like certain notes and pieces of information that kind of tells you why you're moving out. And there's actually like a very beautiful story behind it. So if you want to fill us in on the rest of that. I really liked it.
I didn't want to break this to you, Clifford. When you said that, I was like, what did I say about
Oh
moving out?
no,
It's about a game called Unpacking.
unpacking.
They're
right?
so similar. Unpacking is like an 8-bit game where you're unpacking boxes. You just forget that I have the craziest game Rolodex. I'm like, yeah, I played Unpacking. Unpacking is an 8-bit game where you unpack things from boxes in different houses, and that one tells a story. I think that Moving Out probably does still have a story, because for the record, Overcooked does have an overarching storyline.
Yeah.
So I guarantee Moving Out does, but we'll have to get to that one because I don't know if it's cute or not.
So what we'll say, honorable mention for Unpacking, definitely not a co-op game, but I will say amazing storyline.
Yeah, I know. And to be candid, again, I think this comes back to, you can look at, there's so many games that you can just download right now. If you go to the PS store or the whatever the download is, you go to Steam, you go to any of these providers, literally you pay a subscription, you can have access to all these. I know Overcooked and Moving Out are both free.
That's nice.
So this isn't like, you need to go spend $15 on each of these games. No,
right.
They're very easily accessible, and for the most part, a few of them are free. So try one of the free ones first.
Yeah.
See if you like it, and if you don't, pick up one of the other ones. I do want to transition a little bit.
Okay.
We've been talking about games that are kind of for all ages. Games that are for everyone. You can play it with the little niece or nephew or brother or son or daughter, or maybe family member who's older, who's not into games.
Yeah.
I think now we're going to jump into a couple co-op games that are maybe closer to the chest.
Okay.
Maybe have a little bit more loyal, player bases.
A little bit more dedicated.
Yeah, or maybe just something that you wouldn't necessarily just play with anyone.
Okay.
I want to start with Left 4 Dead, Left 4 Dead 2, Payday, that type of game. The type of ingredients that are the same maps. You maybe have 10, 15, 20 maps, which that sounds like a lot, but if we're talking playing hundreds of hours, that's not a ton of maps.
Yeah.
But the way that you interact with that map, maybe the way that the actual NPCs interact with you, maybe where boss fights end up being, maybe the objective, or maybe the destination you're going changes a little bit. I think all three of these games kind of have bits that make them great. Yeah. Have you played any of these three games?
Payday 2. And I've played something similar to Left 4 Dead, which is I think it's like Island. The Island one?
Dead Island?
Yeah, Dead Island. I've played that one.
Back 4 Blood. There's a few Left 4 Dead similar games.
Yeah. The one for, I can't think of the name. That might be a cliff note, but it should be Dead Island.
Yeah, Dead Island. Dead Island
okay.
Too. They're both zombie games where you kind of walk around.
That would probably be the one. So those are the two for me.
So tell me about Payday.
Payday is a really cool and stressful game. I do want to kind of compare it to Overcooked as well, but it's a little bit more of a not as fun, vibrant as you were hoping, and it's a little bit more on the stressful side. So potentially what you're doing is you're picking out banks. You'll kind of scope out the area. You'll get tools, equipment. You'll get your group. This is where the co-op comes in. And then you're going to go rob a bank. Your goal is to try to get into the safe, getting clean, get out clean. And a lot of things can just go wrong. So you can have it where people try to run. You can have it where you don't catch someone and they go tell the police. You can have it where the drill breaks on you. And I can tell you right now, the drill broke on us more than I've ever imagined. I don't know where. The drill be breaking. The drill, I'll tell you right now, that thing breaks a lot, especially when you're under fire. And I've been wanting to tell you this story. I was playing with a group, and we went into the bank, had everything all set, and the drill went down, I want to say at least every minute to 45 seconds. And I'm talking endless fire. Just the police, I don't know where they got their stuff. They got a 2-for-1 sale because they were just unloading on us, and it was relentless. It was one of those you can't peek up. You peek up, you're one of those you get hit. That's it.
Getting cooked.
Yeah, and all of a sudden you hear, what's that? The drill's down. So, we had a very stressful time playing that game, but it was very rewarding. There's a lot of different banks that you can take on. So there's like really just like brick and mortar type of banks, and then you have like full establishment type banks. So you definitely have a lot of different fun in that way. And then you have like a setup to try to have like a getaway, and then the moment you get away, you're all set. So really cool.
Cops and robbers.
Yeah,
you're just the robbers.
You're just the robbers.
I love that. I love that. So Left 4 Dead.
Left 4
Have you had
Dead.
any experience with Left 4 Dead?
No, I've only seen like certain parts of like where you're potentially just trying to get to point A to point B. That's the only thing that I really know about it.
So let's start with what is Left 4 Dead. It's a zombie game.
Mhm.
The first one, Left 4 Dead, just the original. You have 4 characters that you play through. Let's say, I can't remember. I think it's 8 maps, 10
Okay.
maps. But each map is playing off the last map. So you start at No
okay.
Mercy, and you're at the top of a building, and you're going down the building, through the like down an apartment complex.
Okay.
You're going through alleyways. You go through an industrial complex to get to the top of another building to get away on a helicopter.
Ooh.
That helicopter flies somewhere, crashes, and that's where the next level starts. You go from that to get a car, and you fill it up with gas. And then once you fill it up with gas, that's the end of that level. And the next level is when the car ran out of gas, and you're trying to get to another place. So the storyline's very cohesive,
Yeah.
but you're not literally playing from like point A to point F, point by point by point. You basically play a storyline.
Mhm.
They give you a little cutscene. They give you a little intro to the next one, and then you play through.
Okay.
Variables. The special zombies are always different. So there are hunters, there are stalkers, there are boomers.
I remember boomers.
There
That's the
are
only one that
witches.
sticks in my head.
It's so funny because I didn't look it up before this, and I was like, oh my god, will I remember the names? I do. There's a Hulk, or like a tank.
Yeah.
So boomer, big fat guy, blows up, vomits on everybody,
Wait,
attracts more zombies.
before you say it, and let me guess the which. Is it they normally like stand off in a corner and they're like not looking at anything, but if you disrupt them, they start going crazy?
They sit on the ground.
Okay. They're crying.
And you shoot them, they're like, "Ah!"
Oh,
and they run
man.
and they kill you and just smack you to death. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Leave them be, people. Leave them be.
There was one called a spitter.
A spitter.
And the spitter was like a lady with like a little low rise, and she spits acid, and it was really crazy. I was like, okay. So the games as they went on. So
Mhm.
Left 4 Dead had hunter, boomer, stalker, all those. The spitter was actually in the second one. A jockey was in Left 4 Dead 2. Jockey
Okay.
would jump on you and run you into a crowd of zombies.
That's vicious.
I really think that, again, when you look at recipes,
Mm.
horror games, you want hordes of zombies. You want moments of intensity where you're almost getting overran. Do we have enough bullets? Do we have melee weapons to cut through this?
Yeah.
You want moments of silence. I know that sounds so crazy because you think about like zombie games always being overran. You need suspense to build too.
You do.
And the character or the actual level design is phenomenal because you go through tight spots and you'll kill a bunch of zombies. And then you'll come out this door and you'll be in a carnival. And there'll be nothing around. Dun, dun, da, 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 dun, dun, da, dun, 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 da, 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 dun. Maybe you see a clown, you punch him in the face and his nose will honk. Yeah, so like there's little points that are added into it that's cool too, but I just think about the primal want to like save my friends.
Yeah.
Not in real life. The video game, like jump in front of the bullet and take the bullet. For it.
Yeah.
Left 4 Dead is a lot of the being able to stand and hold the ground and hold the line while you get to safety. And it's just satisfying. And it's satisfying every time. I played hundreds of hours. That was one of the games that I 100%ed on my Xbox 360. Got all
Okay.
1,000 achievement points. I think they are just always fun. If you're into zombies, if you're into gore,
Mhm.
if you're into mods, they offers tons of mod support. So
That's
I
nice.
just think every layer of it, I really enjoy Left 4 Dead.
That's really nice. And I love the fact that they have mod supports because there's not a lot of games that have mod supports, and there's more that's growing every single day. And I know that's an older game, so that definitely really speaks to the type of fun you could be having with that game.
I have played as Scooby-Doo and the gang. I have played
That's
as Batman
cool.
Beyond. I have played with a Jake from Adventure Time as my flashlight instead of a regular flashlight.
That's
I
cool.
played with a mod where when you throw a pipe bomb, which
Okay.
attracts zombies, and it blows up, in the background you hear, my leg, from SpongeBob. So, like, I really think
That's
that
nice.
they've looked at, like, what makes games fun? Let's
Mhm.
add that. You can make it spookier, you can make it bloodier, you can make it all these things, but if you just want to have some goofy characters, you can do that too.
Really awesome.
Before I jump too far away from the trying to be a hero,
Mhm.
try the primal want to be there for your friends, have you ever played Helldivers?
I've played the first one.
Okay, so
And
tell
I
me about
know-
the first one, and I'll tell you about the second one.
I know you'll definitely tell me about the second one. The first one, I love that they made the groundwork for this game because the first one was really fun. It felt more like an arcade. It's nowhere near what you'll see in 2, because 2 definitely is feels more like a first person, third person shooter. But the first one really feels a little bit more like an arcade game, a little bit of like cartoony. Just a
Top-down
touch.
scroller, that top-down, you're up,
Bird's
kind
eye
of
view.
moving them around.
Yeah, kind of like a bird's eye view. And the mechanics to it are really fun. You still get the intensity, but I know the intensity is definitely different on the second one. But the first one, visually seeing you get crowded from a surface like a bird's eye view definitely makes it where you panic. You panic very quickly because I can only imagine if you're playing where you're looking one way, you turn around, something scares you. On this, you just see all of a sudden there's a horde behind you while you're dealing with something to your right. And you're like, oh, I need to run. Like, I already got my heads up, but there's that many more just coming for you. So I think the numbers are a little bit different. I think it's definitely terrifying on the first one. Because there is no, oh, I checked left and right and I can tell if something's coming my way in like the second one. The first one, no matter what, you're going to see what's coming at you. There's just a lot of it. You still...
It's basically picking which way can I make it through.
Right. It's like, what narrow way am I going to survive? Because I'm seeing 20 coming from my north. The west, I'll never go that way again because I saw what just happened. RIP to Todd. But
Yeah.
so, you know, he's sitting in the lobby. But moments like that, it definitely still has its own intensity. And I think that's why this game, even though it's something that a lot of people didn't even play the first one, I think it did so well in the indie section for the people that did play it, that they had enough revenue, they had enough backing to go ahead and make that second one, which I really like.
First Helldivers, top-down bird's eye view zombie game. Not zombie, but like insectoid swarm game. The only other game I can think of that even has a style anything near that was Dead Ops Arcade.
That's spot on. That's
So-
probably the best comparison to
And
Yeah.
I think that they both fit such different areas. Dead
Yeah.
Ops Arcade was through Call of Duty. That
Yep.
was a zombies map, and it really is the epitome of an arcade game. You know, you're running, you
Yeah.
shoot in the direction you're running, you pick up upgrades, you blast stuff, and it's just a lot of fun blowing the out of everything.
Yeah.
I think the difference when you look at Helldivers, not even going into Helldivers 2, because that actually kind of is the description of Helldivers 2.
Yeah.
Helldivers 1, I think, is that bird's eye view of a strategy game with courage. And
Yeah.
I say with courage because you're going to die. Let's just
You
start.
are.
Whoever is playing this, you're going to die in that game because there's a learning curve.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why I say you kind of find areas where you're like, okay, I guess I'm going to run to the east. West is a no-go because we saw how many monsters. North, it looks like we're getting overran. South, maybe there's no path. But east, there's guys, but it looks like I can break through.
Yeah.
So it's like split second decision making that can lead to life.
Right.
What makes it hilarious is most of the time you won't and you will die. And I think that's where when you transition to Helldivers 2, there's a lot less strategy
Mhm.
because there's more chaos. But Helldivers 2 is the first time my friends killing me brought me joy. Like, me getting killed in Helldivers by my friends never ceased to make me laugh. It would be frustrating, I would say, 20% of the time,
Mhm.
15% of the time, that's rare to have a friend basically ruin your game, and 85% of the time, it actually makes you laugh or adds to the game.
Yeah, that's
So,
true.
Why do I say this? If you've not played Helldivers 1, you really had to have strategy, and there were stratagems that would help you kill more aliens.
Yeah.
Okay. In Helldivers 2, you're playing from a third person down on the ground view rather than a bird's eye view. So it's a little bit more intimate. And what I mean is when you're fighting 30, 50 foot tall aliens and there's 30 foot tall aliens chasing you with hordes of like 1 foot tall aliens, it really becomes overwhelming quick. So
Yeah.
stratagems you'd pick might be like a napalm strike from space, or an orbital laser from space, or a nuke. You could drop a mini nuke on you. Now, why it's hilarious is, Clifford, when was the last time you dropped a nuke in real life? Oh wait, that's right, never. So when you don't know the radius, a lot of times the learning curve is you drop a bomb and you're like, oh yeah, I'm far enough away. And when I mean it blows you out of orbit, it blows your body into, I'm gonna bring back the 90s, smithereens. Blows your body into smithereens. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Was that aspect of team damage or being able to kill each other, was that prevalent in Helldivers?
It's so prevalent. It's
really?
Yeah, and the crazy part is that the first one, it's a different sense of it, because let's say I'm just shooting in a way, it's almost like a laser of a line in a direction, and potentially there is no me aiming down, aiming up. It's whatever's in my path is getting hit. So there's a lot of moments where all of a sudden there's a horde coming from the north. We're all looking towards the north, but Tom's right behind me. I don't want Tom shoot. He's gonna shoot me right in the back. So I clearly need to pivot. He needs to pivot. One of us need to, or else there's gonna be a situation where there's not that much firepower, because we're playing with 2, 3, or 4 people. So they're going to adjust the number of how many you're getting hit with. I've had like 100 on the screen at one time.
I'll be honest. It's funny you say that about the getting blasted in the line of fire.
Yeah.
As you get more skilled at the game, you wouldn't drop stratagems on each other, like a bomb, like a napalm strike or an actual bomb.
Yeah.
But a lot of people would use backpacks that had a laser, so whenever swarms would get close to you, the laser beam would just be blasting to save you. But
Yeah.
if you're too close to somebody, the laser would cut you in half. Like, if you were like running and it went to shoot, it would just cut your legs off or something. And it's kind of crazy, because I've had that happen. And I'm like, oh, I got cut in half. And it's just so crazy.
That is crazy. I think the only element that they had in the first one is that you could dive. Well, you could do it in the second one too. Dive down to hide from like the line of fire. That was your only method. So if someone just started shooting and they didn't give you any heads up and you're getting shot in the back, you got to dive. The first thing you got to do.
You're flopping.
Yeah, you're flopping immediately. And I think the last part that I definitely want to mention is that, and this is in the second one as well, is doing the combinations to unlock like sections or missions. That's in the first one. They're definitely long. I don't know. I've seen a few long ones in the second one, but the first one, they are long. You're button mashing combos for a minute.
So I platinumed Helldivers 2.
Okay.
And I would tell you the longest combination you would get for a stratagem. And what we mean, if you've never played Helldivers, combinations for stratagems are literally like old PS1 cheat codes with the D-pad.
Yes.
So you'd walk up to a terminal, and the terminal is like, hey, do you want to launch this missile? You'd hit X, and then you'd hit up, up, left, down, right, left, up, left, down, right, up, left, up, right, down. And if you do it wrong, it just goes,
you miss one,
and
resets.
it starts over. Or
resets.
It puts you out for 10 seconds. And it's one of those things that I really appreciate about Split Fiction. One of the aspects of it that I can relate to that. When you're getting overran by little, aliens that really aren't going to kill you instantly, but it's a pester. It's a pestilence. You're getting chipped away at. And then your friend might not be there. So you're like, I got 2 seconds. I've got 5 seconds. And I really appreciate that you bring that up, because I would say 12 to 15 characters is probably the longest you would get in a harder difficulty.
That sounds about the same. That
Now,
sounds
what
about
it
the same.
might do is make you do 5 sequences.
Ah.
So what it might do is make you do a 12 number or a 12 direction sequence.
Yeah.
Then you need to run over to a pipe and turn,
Something.
the valve.
Okay.
Come back, hit up, just up. Then it takes 30 seconds. Once the satellite moves, you have to run over, move the satellite to a direction. Like there are different variations.
Yeah.
I would really say playing on difficulty 7 or up, 7, 8, or 9 is where I would stick.
Okay.
That's where I would stick. I think Helldivers isn't fun if you're not dying.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's like, you gotta be good at the game. Get out there, Helldivers, brother.
No, it's there for the mayhem.
You will get better if you're playing at 7 or 8 all the time.
Yeah.
You see patterns. You see ways of being able to funnel them and kill them. And it really makes you feel like you are fighting a horde rather than like, I'm just kind of checking out a planet, picking up some V-Bucks off the ground, blasting a couple shells. Like, no, I want to feel chaos.
No, you're trying to survive. You are while you're down there. I love that. Do you have in this one, the second one? Does it have any mecha like weapons, like a mecha suit?
2
mecha suits.
2's the last time I got on.
Okay.
They also, I don't know if they collaborated with Bungie, but
Okay.
they had warthogs added to the game too, where you could drive cars around.
Oh, nice. Okay. Because then the first one, you actually had this giant like mecha suit that you can kind of climb into. Has a minigun on the left side.
One has a minigun on both arms.
Oh, nice.
One
Okay.
has rockets, so you have like I think 50 to 60 rockets per arm.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
And, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I always drop with a bubble backpack,
Mhm.
like a bubble shield, because that also covers your mech. Gives
Nice.
you a little extra hit points.
That's very nice.
Or the other thing we could do is I'll pull my mech up to a cliff and have my buddy run and jump on top and lay down. So whenever I walk up, you're on top of my mech.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
But you gotta be careful because if you fall off, I will step on you and you'll be dead.
Immediately. So, definitely really fun. I love that we have the comparison of both of them. I think the only other thing that I would mention is the intensity. Just one more time.
Yeah.
When you're doing combinations and you're getting just a little glimpse on the corner that Tom he's going through it, I think that's the true essence. That's the fun of it.
Yeah.
It's
Or you put the
intensity
combo
very
down,
quick.
you drop the grenade, and it's right at your feet, and you know you're not getting away.
That's
I
it.
just literally dropped a bomb
on
on my
accident.
feet,
And
and it's like a 50-kilometer radius. I think you're getting smoked.
next thing I have to do is run towards the bugs. That's my situation.
Yep.
So
You're like, please take them out with
Take
me.
I like it.
Helldivers 2,
Mhm.
Left 4 Dead, Payday, all different types of intensity.
Very solid.
I think they're all really good co-op games. I would say the last one to pin on that group, a little bit different. I'll make a quick 30-second snippet, The Forest. I think The Forest is a game that is not necessarily co-op. I think the experience is exponentially better playing it co-op. I've played it 3 times, twice with the same group of friends. That I think speaks to the game has to have a little bit of replayability. If I came back with the same bozos and played the same exact storyline again,
Yeah.
it has survival elements where no matter where you build your camp, the more sound you make, the more people you attract. Who do you attract? Naked cannibals that move to an island for religious purposes, and they ended up getting morphed by an artifact. And I will say the game has glitches. I think glitches aside, the experience you'll get, the ending of the story, the twists and turns you get along the way, The Forest is one I'd throw in there, not for the faint of heart. I would definitely
Gotcha.
say that one is a little bit more for like the people who like Minecraft, you like resource finding, base building, but I would say as a co-op game, it's pretty great. Sons of the Forest, I didn't get to play it.
Yeah.
I've heard mixed reviews. I would say if it's even half as good as The Forest, I'd at least be willing to give it one run through.
Okay. And I know just hearing about The Forest, and I've seen parts of your journey going through it, I love the interesting like plot. Like it's a plot I've never heard of before. So
It's something.
it definitely it's intriguing where you're like, I kind of want to know like what the storyline's gonna hold for me. So, but yeah, really
And
cool.
I definitely think, maybe next season when we do elements, maybe we'll have underlying tones as one of the elements we can go through.
Yeah,
Because that's one of those games that has a lot of story that if you don't pick up everything and you don't read everything and you don't watch everything,
it's a different
you might be
story.
missing points.
Yeah.
And it's still great. I'll tell you, I did not get the whole storyline the first time and just played the game and got what I got. Loved it. When I understood what was going on behind it, it was like, oh, that's cool.
Nice.
The next one's a big egg. I'm about to crack a big egg, baby.
Oh, I got the skillet. What is it?
Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh, here it is. Here it is.
I don't think we need to go on for another hour.
We could.
We absolutely, there will be one whole episode about this, but I would say, give me high level why Baldur's Gate 3 for co-op opposed to playing by myself. I think that's an aspect we should really dig into.
Man, I think it's a game that has so much range. And again, to kind of just give you guys a reminder, Baldur's Gate has the elements of Dungeons and Dragons. So you really can create your own type of story as you go. And doing this in a game aspect I believe is very difficult, because you're trying to make it where there's endless amount of possibilities for the players to have. When it comes to when you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, it's all about your creativity. So that it's endless. And for someone to try to do this in a game, let alone have it where someone else can join and have that fun with you, I think it just speaks upon itself.
And it did it perfectly.
Yeah, they did a really good job. Yeah.
Baldur's Gate's the first game that I've put over 250 hours with another person and look forward to going back.
Yeah.
I haven't played in 3 or 4 months. I'm about to move. Once I move, after I play Grand Theft Auto 5, my next platinum is going to be Baldur's Gate. I'm not platining GTA 5, but I'm going to do Oblivion, play GTA 5, beat it, and the next platinum after that's going to be finishing up Baldur's Gate 3.
I'll be there for it.
I know you will. And I think without me just diving so deep, that is one of the harder platinums in my Rolodex, but the reason I want that trophy is to show that game maker that's how much I love their game.
Yeah.
I love RPGs. I think they're fabulous. I really like to be able to create my own character and make my own story. I don't think that is possible for everybody.
No.
I think some people want that experience, but the creativity and the options, really, the amount, just leads to them being overwhelmed. Baldur's Gate, literally, whether you are intentionally doing it or not, you are going to have a deeply lore-bound, intriguing, twist and turn story put upon you. And I think that's important for some people because they are not able to cater that story for themselves.
Yeah.
So for me, I made a bard because obviously I want to be charismatic. I wanted to have a lot of actual attacking ability. So I dual classed and became a barbarian. So I was a barbarian and I'd play music and I'd bash people into the dust. I think some people who maybe aren't as creative might just pick a mage.
It's true.
And that's okay, because guess what? You're going to run into people in the story that have other classes.
Yeah.
It's going to be pre-made, and you have to play those characters.
Right.
So whether you're curating your own story, you're just trying to get into D&D and you don't know the rules, I think it has playability for both.
Yeah. And it'll guide you the right way too. I can tell you, like, the first person I chose was the Dark Urge, and I just chose him because of the name. I was like, okay, this is funny. But I got a twist, I got a turn. I wasn't expecting this type of plot line, and it actually intrigued me to play him more. So I've definitely been having fun. I love the idea of doing co-op with it. There's just so much room for you to kind of do anything. And to think of, if you've ever played D&D, having that ability to visually see, and I think that's where the benefit really comes into. the outcome of things and to actually have a voice behind it. Sometimes you have, the D&D master that's going through, they're hitting all the voice and stuff like that. Sometimes you don't. But I think visually getting to see it, having where everything's being tracked for you, I think there's a lot of benefits to that add to just a co-op, which is really cool.
Yeah, having a good dungeon master is a blessing.
It's essential.
It really is. Like having someone who can do the voices, has a good plot, can tell you a good story and keep you on track. But more importantly, I think the aspect that you really brought up is like, it's so creative and you can kind of do whatever you fantasize about.
Yeah.
You can do that in Baldur's Gate. Yeah. If you're like, hey, I want to slip poison into this guy's pocket and see what you can do that if you have, a high enough skill to do that, and you can roll on it. Maybe you roll and you get a nat 20, and even though you're not necessarily skilled enough, you got lucky enough.
Yeah.
So I think Baldur's Gate, from a co-op perspective, it's going to lead to a great adventure every time. I would highly advise anyone who's been interested in D&D, it's D&D with training wheels. It uses the same rule system. It uses initiative rolls. It'll explain the die to you a little bit. I'll make you a deal. Cliff and I will make you a deal. We will do an episode where we can break down some of the aspects that make Baldur's Gate great, including how roles work, how classes work, how you can interact with the story. We'll come back to that. But I think really when you look at co-op games and you look at anything we've talked about today, whether you're looking for a grounded story, whether you're looking for that sci-fi, whether you're looking for options, Baldur's Gate really does have a lot of that. Mm-hmm. You do need time.
Yes.
You're going to need over 100 hours, and that's me being gracious.
Yeah.
My wife wanted to take time and think about every decision. Our one campaign took 220 hours. Yeah. So, this isn't overcooked. This isn't Lego Star Wars. This isn't something you're going to sit down and you're going to have a little time invested here and there. This is like a commitment.
Yeah.
But if you decide, you're like, it's time. I think Baldur's Gate, absolutely a great co-op game to get into. Is there anything that we should footnote on there that you think is super important? Someone only hears this, what should they know about Baldur's Gate?
Well, I definitely want to footnote the piece where you were just mentioning that this is a commitment. It really is like a marathon of a co-op. So if you look at all the co-ops that we've gone through today, we've looked at short span, we've looked at spend a bit of time, we've looked at as you're leveling up, like in Helldivers, you have all these different options. I think this is really the first one that we've mentioned that really shows that, hey, like this is something that you could progress through day by day, play for months on end, and you could really just have this whole storyline versus some of these other ones that might end a little bit more quicker. And I think that tells its own story where if you want to find, I want this game where I can, be a little bit creative, or I want something where brings me to a point where I want to like learn how to be creative. I think this is the game that could do that for you. But just like how you were saying, how it's a commitment, it's definitely a game where it's like, okay, like there's going to be a lot of steps of setting up my character, learning the ropes, but all of it is very rewarding. We can promise to that part.
Oh yeah. I think it might be top 5 games of all time for me.
Yeah.
Because it's just so polished, well done. They thought of everything. The game makers really care.
Yeah.
And it shows. I think the 2 things that I would end on for Baldur's Gate. Number 1, I just think it's hilarious that I can punish the perverts in my life because there's a lot of love interests. Mm-hmm. And depending on how charismatic you are, you can determine if you have that interest.
Yeah.
I played with 2 people. I played with my wife and another friend. Every person that they wanted to romance, I would let them talk to them and I would go romance them right after. So that was something that I just found fun that was outside of gameplay, that added a lot of character between the characters playing. Like me, my wife, and my friend are just dying laughing at all the interactions we have. I would say another part that is just good to note, you and I end up playing, you make a character, we play for 50 hours, and then you know what? Life gets busy and you can't come play.
Yeah.
I can put your character in a curio cabinet in my camp and play with other characters, or I can play with the character that you created while you're not there.
Right.
So, when you look at co-op games too, I think the hard stop for a lot of them, even though they might be a 20, 30 hour game, is like, I need that other person to be available for me to even hop on.
Yeah.
This game is an investment. It is 300 hours, but I would tell you too, there was a time or two where my wife might have been busy and I might have jumped on and got her better gear. All I'm saying is you can lead someone to water, but you can't make them drink.
Right.
I think there's times where maybe you're playing with that family member or that friend and they're so close. They've got the great build, but they just won't listen on the items. Maybe hop in there and change their items up a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Hook them up a little bit.
Or maybe you are trying to knock out 4 quest lines in a row and you just need to get on and grab one thing to streamline it. I like that you have the ability to hop in that world too, not necessarily affect the storyline, not push, but you can still develop things. So maybe when you get on and you only have an hour with that friend, things are already set. I think that's its own positive that has to be present for certain games. This game's too big. You have to have that present because both variables can happen. People may not have the time, or people may not have the time fully to commit. So you have to, set up the Lego pieces, set up the dominoes and knock them down,
Yeah. No, I like that. That's a really good ending piece to it.
So, what do you want to jump to now? I've got a handful of games.
I think we can jump over, because we had like a few different shooter games that we were talking about. There's another one that I'm going to bring up that is a lot of people's favorites. That's going to be Call of Duty Zombies.
That's my zombie sound. So, I actually did a survey the other day with a handful of boys.
Okay.
Over what the best Call of Duty Zombies map was.
Oh, man. What did you get? This is going to be interesting.
It got very contentious. Now, we used a generator that put them all in there so we'd vote them against each other.
Okay.
And it ended up taking whichever map won the most. Not won out everybody, but just won the most against other maps.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's funny is I had a pretty good age group. I had youngest was like 17 all the way up to me 34, and there's like 6 of us. So we've all played different generations.
Yeah.
A lot of Der Eisendrache. A couple of the youngins, they really like the castle ones. I mean, dude, I'm a Kino man. I'm a Kino Der Toten,
Yeah.
I'm a Der Reis,
That one's good.
or Der Reis, depending on how you want to, pronounce it. If you say the giant, I might disown you, so.
What is the one on ice?
The one on ice. Which one? Call of Dead? The one with George
Call
Romero?
Dead. Yeah, Call of Dead.
So Call of the Dead was top 2 for us, but again, that comes back to like nostalgia.
Yeah.
All of us like Avenged Sevenfold. So the secret song was great. The cast, George Romero, and the actual cast. You have Buffy. You have Freddy Krueger. I just think that... Didn't you have Freddy Krueger? I think you did. I can't even remember. Cliff Note, we'll look at what the cast
we'll definitely look at it
was. But, I just think it depends on what you get out of zombies.
Yeah.
What's your favorite?
It might be Kino, or what is the one with the bus?
Ooh, Transit.
Funny,
I voted that one into the dirt.
Into the dirt?
Because I didn't play it. It wasn't anything out of... It comes back to co-op, man.
Yeah.
I didn't have anybody to play at the time.
Man, I would have been the one. I
couldn't get out of the bus station. I'd get stuck in the little diner, and I'm like, what do I do? What do I do?
The diner's tough. The fun part about it, the part that just made it crazy, was when someone left you. When someone hopped on that bus and they started it up and you just didn't make it in time. You're stuck in that town by yourself and everyone else has moved on. There was a few different stops that you had, and the best one was definitely the town. So if you were stuck anywhere, that's the place you want to be, because you could run it where you can line everything up and get your shots off and stuff like that. You could solo that spot. But the next area, no.
Did you ever
No.
find the OG map in Transit?
No, I didn't finish any the Easter egg.
In Transit, you can find the original Zombies map.
Oh, can you really?
You can find the original Zombies map. Nacht on Toten.
You know,
You run through a cornfield. And at the end of the cornfield, the map's out there.
I've been in the cornfield, but I haven't seen it. If you want to go play, that's the last few trophies I need to get that platinum. I'm gonna let you know that right now.
Okay. Put that in my clip.
That one, I think all the trophies for multiplayer, all that. I think it's just zombies. I needed to get that one map.
I bought the new Black Ops for PlayStation digitally, and it doesn't have a platinum. And I got every trophy, and I was livid. Got there, and I was like, oh, there's no plat. Modern Warfare 2, I still need to get that. That'll give me a platinum for Black Ops, the new one, Black Ops 6. I'm down to hop in. I have that game.
All right, man.
All right. Now, zombies. I'm getting off track. I'm just getting excited about platinum trophies.
Me too.
Kino der Untoten was a good one.
Yeah.
Or Kino der Toten. Nacht der Untoten just holds a special place because it's the first one, and there really is just nothing special with the flamethrower. I really liked Shinonuma.
Shinonuma, was that the jungle one?
Jungle one that started with the guy hanging from the ceiling, that if you threw a grenade and blew it up, it'd stop your game.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
If you hold a grenade and cook it, and you knock the guy off who's hanging,
yeah,
and he falls, it just turns your game off.
Really?
Like, it just stops your zombies.
Oh, man. That's crazy. Ooh,
I really enjoyed that one.
I just remember the map. This one was just a really cool map. Was the Pentagon.
Yeah, 5.
Yeah, 5.
Dude,
yeah,
hell yeah.
5 was really cool.
5 was really solid. Honestly, I think
you got to play the presidents. Come
all
on.
of them had something good.
Yeah. Each one had its own nice twist.
I think, zombies is one of the blessings to come as a co-op game out of another IP.
Yeah.
You're playing Call of Duties and it's just a war game, and you play multiplayer, you play team deathmatch, you do search and destroy, you do, free for all. And it just comes up headquarters, and there comes a point where you're like, damn, I'm just toasted.
Yeah.
I'm done.
I don't want to play hardpoint anymore.
I'm done playing against people.
Yeah.
Tactics, losing, and it could be anything. Fill in anything here. It's just getting emotional, getting in your feels about the game, and not having something else to do.
Yeah.
I think zombies is always fun.
Yeah.
Now, as time's gone on and Easter eggs have become more prevalent, and being able to end the game is a cool aspect. I think that's super cool that you can physically end zombies and you don't have to just die.
Yeah.
But even when it just went on indefinitely and you ended up dying, I still would invest time and time.
It was so much fun.
It's still fun. We're just getting excited and getting off track
that's true.
Now about going in platinum yet. So, I think that's where zombies has it.
It's bringing me back as we speak. There's another map. I can't think of it. It's like a launch, like missile launches.
It's
in Black Ops 1.
Yes.
It should be in Black Ops 1.
What does a rocket do? It ascends.
Ascension. Oh man, Ascension.
You start in black and white. When you turn on that power, it's like
yeah. Oh man, you do.
On,
such a good one.
But
such
again, it's having style.
I'm playing zombies tonight.
Yeah. I could definitely download some zombies.
Oh
tonight.
man.
Let's talk about another shooter.
Yeah.
Gears of War.
Okay.
Is a gritty game.
Yes, it is.
It's co-op. Gears of War 2 specifically brought another layer I didn't know I wanted in shooting games.
Really? What was it?
You and I are playing. We're playing single player. You're playing single player, and you're playing as the main character. You're playing as Marcus. Lots of games I like side characters. So in this game, you have Dom. Super cool, right?
Okay.
You're playing as Marcus. Dom's like, I'm going to go in the other room and clear it out. I'll meet you down at the end. Right? And you're like, okay. And you split up and you play your 3 hours of campaign, and then Dom ends up meeting back up with you. Right? That's just how games unwind.
Yeah.
When you play co-op, when you play with two people, one person gets to be Dom and gets to see what that other
what he was actually doing.
is.
I like it.
That has not always existed.
Yeah.
So I just think the storytelling of, I used to play that on, I think it's called Insane. I think it's called Insane. That is the hardest difficulty.
Okay.
I would want to beat it in Insane.
Yeah.
So I would go, I'd play it at my house, I'd play single player, and I would beat it. Well, obviously I have friends that are like, hey, you want to come over and help me? So
Yeah.
I remember going to a friend's house, sitting down, putting on Insane mode, being player 2, and being like, damn, this is kind of cool. I get to see a whole nother aspect. Really made my perspective of how playing co-op games and being the second player isn't a bad thing.
Right.
I know that sounds so crazy, but I think that broke the complex of like, I gotta be player 1. Like, I don't care. I'll be player 1 when I'm at home by myself.
Yeah.
I'll make sure I get all that time in. But if I come over, I'm playing with you, I'm playing with your brother, I'm playing with your friends or at your house, I'll be player 2 and enjoy it.
Yeah.
The beauty, though, are some games reward you for that. And I think Gears of War really did that well. Hey, you're playing the side character, you're playing Dom, even though Dom was pretty badass. But here's this whole other storyline. Here's 6 hours of content that you've never seen.
Yeah.
But I just love that.
That's awesome. I mean, you are rewarded for it. And for you to mention, like, he's gone for that much time, but you get to see that perspective, that's really cool. That would make me want to, oh, you know what? I want to play, like, player 2.
I think
like,
Gears of War is coming out for PlayStation.
Really?
I think it's getting a PlayStation remake.
I heard something mentioned about that.
All I'm saying is I played Warhammer for a reason, baby.
We gonna be busy.
I have a question.
Okay.
I know you hadn't played Gears, so like that's why I wanted to get off my Gears part. But tell me about the Division. Tell me about the Dark Zone. Tell me about that co-op experience, because I think that's another aspect of co-op that people don't think about.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times we think about couch co-op, playing with friends, playing a game where it's like a storyline and we help each other. There are some co-ops where the cooperative part is dealing with others in stressful areas. So tell me about it.
The best part I love about the Division 2, definitely goes into the Dark Zone, but it's also the element of what your kit does. And the visuals on it, of course, are absolutely amazing, but to kind of tie in the co-op aspect of it, you can have it where I have items that heal. I can have items that are supportive to give ammo. I can also have items that are very destructive, but also when it comes to like a shooter, this is the first shooter I've ever played where I feel almost like I'm playing a bit of chess. Because let's say we're looking in front of a library, right? There's picture barricades all set up around the library. Things are broken, things are boarded up, and right in front there's almost like a terrible gate that was made by like some thugs. And
not the library thugs.
Yeah, the library thugs, and they're not holding books in there, I promise you that. I'll tell you right now, let's say you have a party of 4 and you're pushing that area, right? You have the left side where it's very easy to push on up. Someone starts moving on up. All of a sudden they're getting focused, right? People are pinging. Oh, this person's getting me. You're shooting that area. All of a sudden someone goes down. I'm the healer. I'm shooting off a shot so it can give you a stim pack. You can get healed. Or all of a sudden you see they're pushing up on the right side. There's a heavy. He's got heavy gear on, stuff like that. We need to set up the turret. The turret needs to focus on him. And I can decide who the turret is shooting at depending on what type of turret I choose. So it's very tactical. And for a shooting game, normally you have it where it's like, okay, whoever's the quickest, that's it. Like, I jumped in the room, I eyesight right on your face, boom, got it. This one, there's a little bit more of an aspect of where there's levels to the guns, so the guns don't do as much damage sometimes. So it's not like, oh, I'm just getting off headshots. They have face masks, and you can unload a whole clip sometimes, and you don't get the kill. So there's a lot more of a play back and forth of like, okay, how are we going to play this? Are we going to have it where I'm rushing in with a ballistic shield and you're holding on, you're right behind my shoulder getting shots in as you heal, something like that? So there's a lot of play to it, and I think that's what made it so appealing. The Dark Zone is what made it where it was PvP, so it's almost, I think this is the one like co-op PvP that I like kind of seen in this aspect, because you can build your team together, you can work on the same stuff, get the same type of gear, and then you can go into the dark zone trying to get better gear and going up against other co-op like teams. I've seen crazy things pulled off. I've ran for blocks. I can tell you there was one moment where we had to push into deeper area, which was even more dangerous, and we actually ran into a house that was full of enemies to get away from the PvP team that was hunting us down. So I can tell you right now, that was probably one of the craziest things we had to do. We lost one person getting into the building. We almost lost the other two, but as they were shooting at us, all of a sudden all the enemies are shooting at us, and that second team is coming in right behind us. They switched and shifted to them, and they had the focus on them, and it gave us just enough of time to get out the building. We're darting, we're trying to get on out of here. So I think there's a lot of like tactical movements that you have to do with this, and you don't see that much tactical movement when it comes to shooters that we see nowadays. So that's the fun concept of the co-op to it.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I think that Arc Raiders, coming out soon, is going to capture a lot of that. So I think, highlighting this and maybe it not being a game that you can go back to and experience like the golden days, like when it was really popping, I think hurts a little. But I think seeing games that are being developed that are taking on those aspects get me excited.
They do.
I've always wanted to play Tarkov. I've always wanted to play the Division.
Yes.
But Tarkov, I'm too far gone. People are too invested. Too much of a hill to overcome. Hackers. And in the Division, you don't have the player base like it used to be.
Right.
The game there's the Division 2, which people don't like necessarily as much as the Division 1. So it's kind of like a Destiny 2 situation, where, you can't go back and really enjoy Destiny 1. That time's past, but Destiny 2 does have a lot of those co-op features that you can enjoy now. So, I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that because I think that the Division's time has passed. Yeah. You can go back and enjoy some of those aspects, but you're not going to get the cliff running from people in the dark zone and hiding in a house. But maybe with this Arc Raiders in a couple weeks, we can come back and we can do a special episode on just that, and we'll see if it captures some of those feelings of the dark zone or feelings of the Division.
Now, we'll give some good info. I believe there's another Division coming out, so we may get that fresh experience of the dark zone. The
Division, the Divided.
And I tell you right now, the storyline is great. They did a pretty solid storyline for how everything broke out. And I don't know if I actually went into it a little bit, but potentially Black Friday, there's a virus released on that day, and it spreads really quickly. So, but you guys can definitely look into it a little bit more. I will say the first one, the Dark Zone's not the same as it was, when, of course, like how you mentioned. The second one, the Dark Zones are kind of split up a little bit more. So there's potentially, I believe, either 3 or 4 Dark Zones. Oh. And they're smaller. Okay. They're not as big. The first one, it was literally just like a strip going all the way straight up, and it was big, a lot of area. These are a little bit more, slightly smaller, but there's 3 of them. And they're kind of in like different skill cap ranges, where the first one had it where as you went higher up north, it was just a higher skill cap. But there's small moments where you can definitely still experience like the fun of the Dark Zone in the 2, but it's slightly there. It's not.
I'll hold out for the next Division.
Yeah, I got you. I'll keep you updated.
I think the only other game that I've played that kind of has a sense of anxiety like that, the way that it functions is different, is Elden Ring.
Okay.
And the only aspect I'll bring up for co-op is how you summon others and how people show up in your world. It's the interaction with other people.
Yeah.
Playing with you, it's actually just weird. I have to like use a bloody finger. I summon you. You come. You help me. Cool.
It's a weird process.
It is. I think the part that I liked more was Invasion. I thought it was because I don't play Elden Ring with other people. I just play with myself. If I really need help with someone, I'll summon someone off the ground.
Right.
I thought it was so cool to be out and I'm like a Ronin samurai and a dude just pops up bloody red and trying to kill me in my game, and it's a real person.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is.
I don't think I hadn't played Bloodborne or any of these other games where I think that was also prevalent. So don't hate me because I'm saying Elden Ring was the first time I'd had it and it existed before. Tell me what game you first experienced it. I would love that. But for me, definitely Elden Ring.
Don't get too mad. I'm just slightly back. Dark Souls 3.
Okay,
I definitely played Dark Souls 3. Yeah. So I didn't play the, 1, 2. I didn't play, I believe there's also Bloodborne, of course. I didn't play those. They've always been highly spoke of, but I did play 3, and 3 has a lot of the same concepts. And what I can say about the creator, I know that he has an image for what the perfect Dark Souls / Bloodborne / Elden Ring, that type of genre he's trying to create. He still hasn't perfected it, and he keeps saying that.
That's crazy.
So
those games are all phenomenal.
They are, and he keeps pushing towards like this next goal. So he will get to some type of final piece, and I'm really excited for it. Yeah,
I love that.
Which is, it's lovely to see because the progression of it, even though I will say if you've never looked at it before, is definitely very dark. It's very gothic a little bit, and it's a grim, most of it's very grim stories, but the appeal to it is that the level of hard work you need to put in to make it where you can surpass some of the bosses, some of the fights that you have to do. I think that's a lot of fun, and for you to bring in someone to try to go through that process too, it's definitely a challenge. I got to do most of Elden Rings paired up with one of my close friends, and we went through kind of doing like storyline in tandem, so it made it very fun, but it was very intense. It was very hard to work through that. And I will say I definitely give a shout out for everyone running the game solo, because this is, a very top tier game, but there is a lot of benefits of having that person with you, like running through it, and I've definitely seen it. So.
My friend offered, and it was too late. I'd already gotten stomped to the ground too many times. It's like, no,
you're like,
I don't want to do it anymore. I'm done. I'm done here. Do you have any other co-op games you want to touch on? I have one last one, just an honorable mention. So if you have anything for me, throw it at me, and if not,
man,
close us out.
I'm gonna hit us with a quick mention, and then I'm gonna hit you with the one that I believe it had so much communication behind just like this one mission. So the first mention is Broforce. Broforce is like a silly indie game, and potentially all that's on there is every like famous, overly buff like person you've ever known is
John Cena-esque.
Yeah, exactly. Is playing in this game. Everyone that you would think is like, oh, that's a bro. That's Broforce. And potentially you're fighting back all the demons that are coming out of this like giant crevice, and it's just a really silly game, but it's potentially like that's it. And you got Rambo flying around, it's like every single character you can think of.
Is
that's
his
just
name Rambo or Rambro?
I think Rambro, if I'm not mistaken. I think they made it where every single name was slightly adjusted. It's a really silly game, and all of their moves and stuff like that, exactly what they do in the movies, stuff like that. It's just a good laugh. But playing with someone, the destruction that you see on the screen is just hilarious. Like playing Chuck Norris is crazy. So it's a lot of fun. That's just my one quick mention that I definitely want to throw on there. One that I want you to understand is where this was another point where I was like, man, I really do love co-op games, is Battlefield 3, the co-op missions. Now, I will tell you, this is one of the hardest things I had to go through. There's a very specific mission where you have to be a sniper, and you have to snipe with someone. There's a co-op mission, so it's 2 snipers.
I've played all these missions.
You've played all these? Okay.
This is one of the 2 games I was top 1,000 in the world.
Really? I like it.
740
What?
785.
Okay.
I think it was like where I maxed because like this was like college, just got out of a relationship. I was like, I got 16 hours a day to
He's
play.
like, I got time. This mission alone is probably the toughest mission. This was the last trophy I needed. I was stuck on this for a long
I
time.
played Xbox 360. I didn't get any trophies for this.
No? Oh, man. Oh, yeah, that's right.
I think
But-
my most proud moment in this game was a like 950 meter snipe headshot.
That's clean.
You know how people used to get on the boats?
Yeah.
I played Operation Firestorm, and someone was on a different mountain.
900 is far.
We're shooting mountain to mountain. Operation Firestorm was the biggest map on that.
Dude.
You remember Operation Firestorm?
Yeah.
Point A, B, and C were the 3 factories, and you had 2 mountains.
Dude.
Someone ran up their mountain in their spawn. I ran up the mountain in my spawn.
I think the furthest I've hit was somewhere in the 500 range. 900 is far, man.
500 would be like the boat that you spawn on
Yeah.
to like the loading dock on a few of the maps. Like you could
Maybe
I think you could've
maybe
got
600.
You could
Maybe
get more than
600.
that.
I don't
We'll
know.
play.
900 sounds far.
We'll play
But
again.
I'll double check. But to tie back into this mission, there is moments where you have to snipe in sequence. And the window for this is less than a second for some of these snipes. Because the moment the shot goes off, even though it's silent, everyone in front of that area will react. So if we are not communicating properly, the moment we snipe, you're off half a second. The person that you were aiming at flinches, you missed the shot. All of a sudden they're hiding. Mission failed immediately. That's it. Like you didn't get your target. And there's multiple targets you have to go through. And there's this bus that's kind of sitting right in the middle of the area. It is very hard to...
He cooked them.
Yeah.
He cooked them.
Yeah, he definitely cooked them. We have it up right now so we can kind of see the process of it. But as you're going through this whole mission, it really is about timing. And for you to get timing down with another person and make sure sights are lined up, the distance of the drop. And I know we mentioned previously how I was impressed about playing Battlefield games of the drop. I was just like, oh man, you really have to calculate for this.
Yeah.
That's why I love Battlefield. All of this is shown in this, and this is one of those that it'll always stick with me. I've always loved it.
Do you remember what the cheese was during Battlefield 3?
The cheese.
The cheesiest weapon. Do you remember what people... It was meta. People would use shotguns, and they would put on explosive rounds.
Yes,
And-
because it was like a grenade
And
launcher.
you really didn't have to aim. You just had to just like blast in their direction. I was like,
Yeah.
Bro, my goodness.
I think it was the
It was
AA-12.
the AA-12.
Yep,
baby.
I remember.
So I played with a buddy who was also ranked top 1,000, and he would only do meta cheesy things. So I would always play
Oh
assault,
man.
and I would be crazy on heals.
Yeah.
And obviously I do recon and stuff because I'm not trying to play a game and be miserable all the time. So like sniping was my fun, and flying helicopters was my fun.
Yeah.
Dude, he would play with that AA-12 with explosive rounds, and it just made me hate him. He was my best friend. I'm like, I just hate you, bro.
It's like,
So it's just so
please
fun.
put it down.
No, dude, this is great. I think the co-op for Battlefield is great. I think
Yeah.
Spec Ops did it well at one point. So, you know,
Yes.
Call of Duty kind of had their own thing.
And
I can appreciate it.
yeah, I loved it. And I know I just touched on that one mission, and there's plenty of more. There's even like the helicopter missions, which are really fun. There's convoy ones that you have to do. They do a really good job of just having it where you have to do like really good communication. And I've always loved the way that it did it. I wish they did more, to be honest with you. But I would say the other one that I definitely want to mention would be Modern Warfare 3 having the survival mode, because I believe this one came out right after like another Zombies, and they knew that they weren't going to put zombies in a Modern Warfare game. So what was the substitute? So it was called survival mode, and potentially in survival mode they had it where you could play through certain maps, and in these maps you can call down sentries, you can actually earn money, get perks, It was very similar to zombies, but you were actually shooting like enemies coming your way. So you did have to crouch, you did have to hide. They're hiding too. There's also juggernauts that you have to fight on certain rounds. So they'll have it. You hit round 10, all of a sudden they're coming your way. That one gets a really good mention. That was really fun playing. I definitely put in at least 100 hours playing that game.
I've never even played that.
That one's really fun. Like if you ever want to hop on that one, I would definitely hop on and play some rounds.
I'm gonna have to. We're gonna have to get in some Battlefield, get in some zombies, try some survival mode.
Absolutely.
I've got one honorable mention for you.
Talk to me.
Sea of Thieves.
Sea of Thieves.
Sea of Thieves.
Okay.
I think the benefit, the positive, you playing 1,000 hours and you playing 1 hour, you have the same amount of chance to win. Playing more hours does not give you better equipment. It does not give you better stats. It does not give you better boats. It does not give you better anything.
Nothing.
It gives you cosmetics. As I play the game, I unlock cosmetics. I unlock harder missions. But game style, gameplay, chance to win a fight, the same.
Yeah.
So I think, if you look at a game, and that could be what deters a lot of people. They're like, why am I playing?
Yeah.
Okay, absolutely. I get you. We just named 15 other co-ops you could play, right? Or any other game in the season. But that's not everybody. And I think some people want to play a game that doesn't require necessarily a lot of investment for them to feel good. I like being a pirate on the sea with my friends. Whether we're getting blown up, whether we're not getting blown up, whether we're finding treasure, we're fighting skeletons, we're fighting a megalodon, we're fighting a big squid, it's an adventure. If you're looking for a game that you can get out, you can have a little adventure, I think Sea of Thieves is it. I think if you have Game Pass, it's free. You should try it. I think that if you like sailing, I know this is a stretch, but if you like sailing, great game for learning how to sail a boat. I think the actual mechanics of driving the boat in itself is fun. And then, dude, people are psychopaths. So just playing and having people try to maniacally destroy you is in itself fun. And there's ghost ships. And there's skeleton forts. There's NPCs that you can fight. There's NPCs you can talk to. I enjoy fishing. A lot of people hate it. It's there's just levels. I like to play and have 3 friends on, and they're all aggressive. And I go downstairs and just catch fish and cook so that they're full and have better health stats when they fight. That's it.
I will say I did see a part where it was proximity chat, and someone was sailing by just please don't, please. They were sailing in the opposite direction, and I found it hilarious. It was just a small thing that I saw, but I can definitely see how there's a lot that you can do to this game. And I love that you said that it really doesn't matter how much time you put in, everyone really has a fair chance. So it definitely gives you that freedom to kind of have that fun.
My favorite thing, while we're out and about, we're getting treasure, I like to get a bunch of explosive barrels. I like to hide them on the boat. Then I like to get a little miniature boat, like a rowboat, that you can connect to the back of your boat. I fill the rowboat up with explosives. I find a boat that's parked. While we drive by, I go, boys, go quick. We sail by really quick, and I drop my boat. So what happens is people are like, oh, I saw that ship sailing off. Then I explode their boat. My other go-to is I like to sneak on people's boats and pick up the anchor, get it going full speed, then slam it into the island full speed.
Oh, man. That's actually...
Dude,
I like that. That's pretty crafty.
I'll start a fire down at the bottom deck, and they're like, put out the fire. When they come up, they're like, oh no, we're going full speed. And I just slam that shit into the island. I'm like, yeah, you can't ride your boat if it's beached, buddy.
Making them panic. I like it.
We've had some real duels. So Sea of Thieves, phenomenal. If you need a friend, Cliff and I are here.
We're here. We'll get on that boat.
You got any more co-ops for me? Is that it? Is this it? We closing out?
Man, I don't listen. I got one last one.
Hit me with it.
It's a classic. It's a classic. We've talked about it before. It's got to be mentioned. It's gonna be Minecraft. And just to put it out there, if you've never played a game, if you want to just create a new world with someone, Minecraft is the one to do it. It's the starting point for, I think, any type of co-op, because you can really play this any type of way. You can have it where someone leaves, they go start their own like base completely somewhere else. You can have it where you make a project to make something. Right now I can tell you, like, I haven't been on my server in a minute, but we're actually making like a cherry blossom like mountain, and at the very top there's this giant tower, like this meditation tower.
Very Japanese.
Yeah, very cool. And we were styling all the houses in that type of style, so there's plenty of different things you could do. You can make it where, hey, you go this way, we go that way. The moment it hits 100 days, we show up here and we fight. Like anything that you want to bring. There's so many different things you could do, and they keep adding new things to this game where there's new things that you can do every single time.
Minecraft
there's just so
is
much.
the most downloaded game
Yeah.
well, not most downloaded, but
It's-
probably most purchased game
For sure.
for
It's
a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want something where you're just like, where do I start with co-op games, you could definitely start there.
Well, I can appreciate that. So, today we talked about so many. We talked about A Way Out, It Takes Two, Split Fiction. You got traditional co-op games, Luigi's Mansion, Chained Together if you're a masochist.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking for something super fun to just pick up, you've got Overcooked, you've got Moving Out, you have the Left 4 Deads or Payday.
Yeah.
It kind of just depends on the flavor that you're looking for. If you're a little more into the grittiness, you can play The Forest.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Helldivers, you've got Gears of War, you've got these Battlefield 3 war games where you really can get into character. The Division, I know that you can go back and experience it. There's new ones coming out. There's games like Arc Raiders coming out. So, there's other aspects that really fit that category too. It's just really, we're in a great time of gaming.
We are. And I love that a lot of these games we've mentioned before, some of them here and there, but they all tie into that co-op, which is something that we can always appreciate.
Absolutely. And, we're going to cover so many more games. This was just our first 10 episodes, but, we're going to have our little wrap up. We'll get into some of the things that we really love, some games we really love, and lay out what we're going to do next season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. Well, I think that's it. We're going to wrap up this co-op pod for tonight. This is Matt.
And you got Cliff.
And we're signing out.
Peace.